This video is meant to be a general overview of the integumentary system. Now, the integumentary system consists of the skin, hair, nails, and also some exocrine glands. Of course, the skin is the largest organ in your body. It forms an outer covering as well as a physical barrier, and so it's the body's first line of defense against any pathogens, for instance. And of course, nails and your hair extend from the skin. There are several layers in the skin, first of which, and most superficial, is the epidermis. Within the epidermis are also several layers, the most superficial being the stratum corneum. In really thick skin, the second layer would be stratum lucidum. However, in thin skin, the second layer is going to be the stratum granulosum, and then it's the stratum spinosum and the stratum basale. So the corneum, granulosum, spinuosum, and basale are all found in either thin or thick skin, but lucidum is found in thick skin only. The epidermis is avascular, so there are no blood vessels. It's about 90% keratinocytes, which produce and store keratin, which is this waterproof, really sturdy protein. And of course, these keratinocytes are found in the stratum basale. The epidermis is about 8% melanocytes, which are pigment-producing cells that produce melanin, and melanin protects the skin from ultraviolet radiation. Also in the epidermis are dendritic phagocytic cells, as well as Merkel cells, which are just light touch receptors. The dermis is the second layer of the skin, deep relative to the epidermis. It's made primarily of dense, irregular connective tissue. Here it's vascular, so it does contain blood vessels. There are two regions to the dermis, the papillary region that contains the dermal papillae, which just increase the surface area of the dermis. These contain the Meissner corpuscles, which are involved in light touch sensation, and the dermis also has the free nerve endings, or the pain receptors. In the reticular layer, which is the second layer, and it accounts for about 80% of the dermis's thickness, there are going to be the apocrine and eccrine sweat glands, as well as the lamellated corpuscles, which are involved in vibration sensations. And in essence, the reticular layer gives your skin its strength and its elasticity. The last layer is the hypodermis, or the subcutaneous layer. It's deep, of course, relative to the dermis. It's made primarily out of loose connective tissue, so it's very flexible. It's the connection between the skin and your muscle, and also has adipose cells, so it is involved in fat storage, which helps insulate your body. Of course, hair is part of the integumentary system. Hair is produced by what are called hair follicles. There are two basic parts to a hair, and that's the shaft, which is composed of dead keratinized epithelial cells, and there's also the root that's projected down into the dermis. The hair follicle is formed by what's called an epithelial root sheath. A hair follicle is also attached to an erector pili muscle that, when erected, causes goosebumps. And then the hair bulb is the root of the hair, and that's where the mitotically active cells are located that are causing the hair to grow, right? The nail is modified epidermis. It's characterized by what's called a nail body resting on a nail bed. It also has nail folds, a region called the lunala, which is the white region at the base of the nail. There's also the nail root, the cuticle, also known as the eponychium. There's also the nail matrix, and it is the nail matrix where nail growth is occurring. It's the proximal portion of the nail. And of course, older cells, as the nail is growing, become older and die. There are several exocrine glands, one of which being the sebaceous gland that secretes a substance called sebum into hair follicles, giving hair an oily sort of texture. And this, of course, lubricates our skin and our hair. There are also two types of exocrine sweat glands, the first of which being eccrine, which is found all over the body. It secretes a sweat composed of water, salt, and waste. The coiled portion of the eccrine gland is located in the dermis, but its duct extends directly into the epidermis. And so the eccrine, right, is characterized in that it releases directly into the epidermis. And this, of course, functions in temperature regulation. The apocrine sweat gland does not release directly into the epidermis. Its ducts empty into hair follicles instead. It's confined in essence to the groin and the armpit, and of course the breasts. It's larger and it's deeper than the dermis, than the eccrine glands. And that is it for the integumentary system. So you're going to want to be able to identify parts of the integumentary system, which I have a quiz video for to help you out.